So mind in Dantian. So, in movies, sometimes you get like, people are trying to escape the monster or whatever, and they come to like a manhole cover and they lift it up and there's a ladder going down into the blackness. And they foolhardily descend into the pit. So Dantian is a bit like that. It's not just a location. It's like when you go into it, you descend, you become subterranean. So it's like a hole that goes into the ground. And as you go down, your mood changes. And then it becomes like an anchor for your emotions. So because spirit will always come up, especially when you get emotional. If you get angry, or sad, then the spirit will come up, but that's what we don't want. So we want some sort of anchor from which spirit can burst without disturbing our inner equilibrium. Yeah, so Tai Chi, it's, they call it moving meditation, but it's actually very different from meditation, because when you meditate, you almost become oblivious to the external world, whereas in Tai Chi, obviously, you want your inwardness to intensify your outwardness. So we anchor here so that we can really burn and really relate to the world outside us. So it's like a place of smouldering. It's like, a fire that's still smouldering and is liable to burst into flames at any moment. And it just lends the body a sort of tone, almost like a they talk about the Tai Chi master feels like sprung steel. So when you touch him, you're bounded off by almost like an electric shock. So it's like something inside you is just switched on. And that the body just has to be really sort of fit and together and capable, because if the spirit isn't able to express in the body because the body's not able to do what the spirit wants it to do, then the spirit won't manifest. Someone like Bruce Lee, he had so much physical capability that the spirit could be really rich. It could express in lots of different ways. So this feeling that whenever you meet the world, whenever you're not on your own, you become a creature of spirit. So it enables you to just interact, and it just means that you're able. You can fight if you have to. So this is the feeling. It's like any situation may require you to fight. Maybe not physically, but in some way, you just need to be awake enough. Yes, this is what they say, that the teacher of the internal doesn't ostensibly teach you anything. It's not as though there's a form for the internal. What they do, they waken your spirit. And then you don't need them anymore. Then spirit becomes your teacher. Spirit will take you. Because if you look back on your life and like all the big decisions that you've made, they've all been stupid. They've all been like inhibited by fear. So really to make a really good decision, there must be no fear. You must somehow, something inside you just must know intuitively the best line of action. And it's always the most difficult one. Almost by definition, the easy way out is always wrong. But then you have to stay true to that. And that's another aspect of spirit. So just the perseverance. So the long spirit, the one that knows this is going to take well more than a lifetime. So in for the long haul. That's, it's just not there anymore because people just want short term. They want everything now, yeah? Say to someone, okay, meditate every day for 10 years and then see where you've got. It's like, the first thing John ever said to me personally, just find one thing that you really love doing and do it to the exclusion of everything else for 25 years, and then just step back and see what you've got. And people just wouldn't do that now. Okay, so let's just bring it to riding horse. So this feeling that you're almost crumbling into it. So your Dan-Chen is so strong, you become this sort of collapsing star. So we just want to get like real flexibility in the lower back. So it can whip both ways. You know, the spine is like a whip. Yeah, so the spirit wakes up when, just really when you've built up enough energy. So it's like you're like a container. So at the beginning of Tai Chi, the more Tai Chi you do, the more energy is brought into that container. Now you've got a choice. You can either then use the energy, you know, by just doing normal things. I remember, you know, teaching a class once, short form class, and they asked me once, "What, do you want to come to the pub with us? Because we all go to the pub afterwards." And I just realized that, you know, they were coming to Tai Chi, sort of generating all this relaxation and good energy, and then just going and depleting it in the pub. And there were people that were coming to the pub that had actually missed the class. So the pub became more important than the actual class. So we want this sense that you're gathering. It's like Castaneda says, you have to become a miser with energy. You're gathering, you're like Scrooge, you know, that's sort of just gathering all this energetic wealth to yourself. And then when it reaches bursting point, something in you takes off, basically. And then you just have to keep that going. Spirit becomes the most important thing. But it's very much a different world. It's very much not bourgeois. So it's not polite. It's not of our society. You'd see it much more on the fringes, you know, so the people that live on the edge of society, that are sort of like scavengers or parasites, you know, they're going to have a little bit of something because they're survivors. You know? Survival is difficult. If survival is too easy, then you don't need spirit. And if you don't need spirit, it won't be there. So the teacher wakes it up for you, and then you just have to feel its absolute necessity. Okay, now let's just breathe it. And again, just getting the breath to come into the spine. So just feeling the spine as a whip. Yeah, and just notice that, you know, when you're watching it, when you're being careful and watching it with your mind, then there's natural stiffness comes into the neck. So what we'd like is just to become almost possessed by it, so that the neck can remain free. So it's the energy that actually moves the head around. I don't have to keep it stiff on the top of my spine, because the energy will keep it where it needs to be. And just really enjoy it. Feel its sensuality. And so you're brimming with feeling, but you're completely unemotional. So thoughts are of the head and feelings are of the heart. Heart as representative of the body. So body, mind. The body mind feels, the head mind thinks. And just feel the breath. You know, so you're sucking, it's almost like you're sucking all the air in from the room. And then you're squeezing it all out, every drop. And just stay in the legs. There's always a tendency to come out here. Can you feel dead space in the lung? Parts of the lung will just be a little bit ineffective. So you just want to get the breath, really fill the lung. Feel all its volume and surface area. Yeah, so we're basically hollow. You know, so it's like, you know, when that air comes in, does it become me when it gets past my nostril, or does it just remain in the room and I'm just this hollow container? Yeah, so there's like a yoga element really to everything that we do, this sense that we're sort of trying just to push beyond the limits a little bit. So here I'm just trying to stretch open more than I've ever been before. Yeah, so Castaneda puts it beautifully, you know, when he says the most healthy place to live, to exist, is on that boundary between the known and the unknown. Because that's where you will need spirit. It's like you're just venturing into the darkness, into potential danger. So you'll really need your wits about you, your spirit. Yeah, so there's this sense that your work is always pushing you. You're not just repeating. You're going somewhere, it's a journey. So the mind, in a way, is always a lot more limited than the body. So the boundary of my mind is always before the boundary of my body. So if I could just really just let go, you know, I don't need to be frightened because my body won't burst. It's not as though my arms are going to fall off. Yeah, so this is meditation, just looking at You know, why are you tense? Why are you frightened? Why are you limiting yourself? Or as Nietzsche put it beautifully, why do you choose slavery as though it were your very salvation? And it's because freedom is just terrifying. Because for that, you just need to venture out of that bourgeois trap, out of your culture. So you have to become antisocial. Not visibly, only sort of inside. Ooh, okay, so let's just bring it back. And then just feel the different rhythms that are inside. You know, so maybe you can feel the heartbeat now because we've been working a little bit strenuously. So that's this like drum that's going on, this insistence reminding you that you're alive. And then you've got the breathing, which we've just been getting into. Then you've got the craniosacral rhythm, which is just really, that's permeating the whole body. And it's got a regularity, but it's a regularity that's slow enough to have a real sort of random element to it. You know, so when you feel yourself just almost melting and just becoming movement that doesn't have any real regularity, then that's the craniosacral rhythm. For me, that's the most important one, because that's the one that sort of connects to the interesting rhythms around us. Yeah. So that's very much a rhythm you can't stand outside and observe. You can with other people, you can put your hands on their head and feel this rhythm. But with yourself, you just have to really just allow it to produce movement. And you're never quite sure if it's just your imagination or if it's real. Yeah, so that's when it's interesting. And then there's like longer rhythms, you know, like your digestion, you know, you eat and then 12 hours later you shit, yeah. And then the rhythms of the week. You know, the week is a natural unit. The month is a natural unit, maybe not the calendar month, but the lunar month, yeah. The year is a natural unit. They all have these sort of moods, if you like, that we, you know, they'll always be there, but unless you're aware of it, it might as well not be. So we want to wake up to what's inside the body. So I am like an interface, yeah, between these different rhythms and energies. They all come together in my body. So I'm this real complex of all these. It's like different harmonics, you know, in a note, but it's, you know, there's such a richness there. But what's crucial is just getting into spirit. And spirit just makes you less heavy. It makes you less of a turd, as John would say, less of a piece of shit, less of a body, and more of an energy. Yeah, and it is dangerous. You know, if you look at like John, Dr. Chi, Chen Manqing, they all basically sort of disappeared. You know, so they died because, in a sense, they'd lost the body. They'd just become energy and spirit. So that's, you know, there needs to be a balance, but we don't really need to worry about that. We just need to wake up the spirit. Because I think you get to a point where the body is just almost like vulgar, it's coarse, and you wouldn't want to go there. But of course you have to discipline yourself to keep your body firm and heavy, yeah? Not fat, but just dense. You know, there's a denseness to the bones, and that just comes from Okay, now let's just try turning. You don't need as wide a step as I have. It's just, you know, I can't be bothered to move my feet up. And again, just imagine you're in the water, so it's quite difficult to turn. So you really have to use that action of the foot. So let's do the foot that so now I'm going to press out of this foot by twisting it this way. And then twisting out of this foot. Yeah, so really using the foot on the ground and the leg. So to activate the leg, I have to sink into it first. Yeah. So here, yeah. So it's like I have to make like a real effort to actually move. I can't just glide in a nice way. So just really trying to just activate the body in its real physicality. The same way you would if you were doing a task that was you know, hard work, that you required real strength. And just bring your mind to the big thick muscles either side of your lower back. So the spinal erectors. Yeah, so we'd like it to start there. The physical action, in a sense, starts in the foot, but my mind tightens that muscle in order to trigger the foot. Now, so when you see the human body, like the naked man standing, then it just becomes very clear that the weak part of the body is this, the part that needs to be the strongest. So just feel the muscles at the back, feel the belly having to be constantly tight so that you're sort of sheathing the lower back in like a belt, a band of muscle. And if you want to activate those muscles, the muscles in the back, you just have to be really determined and really mean it. So you'd have to bellow, basically, yell, scream. Okay, so let's just stand again. And now just really feel those muscles. They're really thick. They really stand out either side of the spine. They stand out much more than the spine does. And they reach all the way down into the foot, and they reach all the way up to the top of the head and down the arm to the hand. And it doesn't really matter whether you see it cross energy or whether you see it the other way. What's important is just to feel, see in your mind's eye, your body mind's eye, not your head mind's eye. That muscle train, that continuity. And we've just got to keep it a little bit tight so that it can transmit energy. So elastic, like a stretched elastic. And just feel the mood, you know, when you've got these working, when you've got them there, you're just really, you're determined, yeah? Just imagine you're like an old-fashioned executioner. You chop people's heads off for a living. Just need the right image, yeah? So, you know, what you'd need accuracy, you'd need strength, but you'd also really have to be able to sort of mean it. And now let's just go down. So not crouching, just touching the floor. So you haven't sat into the posture. And just feel the ground, just allow the ground to earth you, earth your upper body. And just feel yourself intensifying as you remain down here. And then just come up, but again, come up from the lower back, tightening the lower back. So you stay down in the legs, the lower back comes up, and then you just push with the legs into the lower back to bring yourself up. So the rising starts in the lower back. As you tighten your lower back, it brings your spirit up, and then the legs can just follow that. Exactly the same as if you were in a squat. Yeah, so when you're in a squat and you push up, the most important thing is that you throw your head back. Otherwise, the bar will pull you forwards. And by pulling your head back, your spirit just instantly goes up, and then you just let yourself follow that. So the body follows the spirit, and it's the muscles in the lower back that throw the spirit, that directs it. This is why they're so important. And it's the muscles in the belly that controls it, that keeps it in, stops it from bursting out and just leaking. So when you need spirit, you only need like a little burst. and then that's it. So it has to, and then instantly it's back in again. You know, when they punch, they say, you know, that the effectiveness of the punch is all in the withdrawal. Yeah? The more snappy you can pull it back, the more energy will fly off. Okay, so let's go down again. Just feel that you're taking something down, you're going down. This is no problem. And you could quite happily stay here, but you're not resting in the posture. You're getting more sort of fierce, more fiery. So feel the earth draining that excess activity out of you, but also replacing it with like a real sort of strength and power. And just draw that into your dantian. So imagine that energy coming up your arms, into the back, and then down the spine, underneath your tail and underneath, and then just pooling in the dantian. So you're gathering, you're hunting energy. You become a hunter, a predator, a lonely predator of the adoration. Such a beautiful phrase. And then again, just coming up. So first, just tighten the lower back to bring your head up, and then just feel that, ooh, you intend it up. So it's almost like your spirit is pulling your legs with it, rather than your legs pushing this sort of reluctant spirit that's already started deflating. Yeah, so come back to tone. There's almost a sense in which quietness, you know, the quiet that we're looking for, which is a very active quiet, and tone are like the same thing. Yeah. So mind in dantian, you know, you're really pulled in here, and then the muscles here are really knitting into the glutes and the hamstrings and the calves. So these muscle trains from your heels to your fingertips are quite tight. They're ready to explode. They're ready to burst with energy. You don't need time to tighten up and then use them. So you're on a short fuse, you know, hair trigger. And then you can't have tense shoulders. And if you've got tense shoulders up there, there's a break. You know, that your shoulders are pulled down by this elastic pull in your spinal erectors here. Okay, so let's go down again. So just feel the ground and just feel yourself getting more and more active inside, like the spirit is getting really restless. You know, you just want to kill something. So when you're boiling inside, it will feel like the ground is boiling, like your two hands are moving relative to each other, because almost like the surface of the ground has become a little bit unstable. But of course it's not, it's just you inside. then again, just lifting from the lower back, and then just push the legs into those muscles. Okay, so now let's work in a similar way with the wall. This is, you know, the wall's just a bit stronger than the chair, but you can use a chair. Yeah, so what, you know, the way we use the chair with the arms to move the body. So I want this feeling here, like I'm using my arms just to move my weight from leg to leg. So you have to lean into the wall slightly, just so you've got a bit of purchase, yeah? Yeah, so you want to feel it difficult. So you're having to use the arms quite strongly. So it's almost like your legs are sort of just fighting the arms a little bit. Ugh. So I push the wall to the right in order to move my body to the left. Yeah, so it's just a moving isometric exercise. So you're using the body to fight itself in order to activate the muscles in a way that they wouldn't really be activated if you were having to move a real object. And then just do a few up and down. So push the wall up to get your body to go down. And then just pull the wall down to bring your body up. And just try and make sure that it is the arms that's doing it. So as soon as you push up, you can feel a flow of energy down your spine. And then you just go with that. And then as soon as you pull down on the wall, you feel a flow of energy coming up the spine. And you just let the body follow it. Yeah, so the arms are generating the energy which the body follows. And then just free movement. Yeah, so just using the hands. Yeah, so you can push yourself along or you can pull yourself. And just feel how it's just more difficult to pull, but obviously because you don't have so much purchase on the wall. But in a sense, that's more interesting because it's really feeling the wall. You're really out there. and moving the body towards it. And then you can just try turning the waist with it. So just push the wall, push into the wall and let your hip turn around. And then push with the other hand and this hip will turn. Yeah, so you can use the hands to generate a turn. Okay, so let's just bring it back. Yeah, so just feel the body, especially around here, you know, where you've really been using the arms. There's something, you know, we don't normally experience real physical tiredness because we don't work in a laboring way. But in a sense, it's the only time you'll experience real sort of inner quiet, is when you've flogged the body so hard, you're just wiped out and you're just sitting there and this is just quiet. Yeah, and that's, for me, that's happiness. Happiness is what you feel when you've used the spirit to drive your body beyond its normal limits. Yeah. So happiness isn't getting your own way. It's not self-satisfaction. It's just that feeling, you know, I've done good work. I deserve this rest. I deserve this moment of happiness. Yeah. Okay. And now just twisting. So just trying your best to keep the hips facing front. And now using the muscles in the lower back to actually twist the shoulders against the hips. So you're just I'm tightening this muscle here at the back, and that's it's pulling me round. And then I just relax that muscle, and then I tighten the muscle on the other side. Yeah, so we're just trying to learn just to utilize the right muscles. Yeah. So I'm not doing this. Yeah, I'm not swinging the shoulders round. I'm really working these thick muscles here. And just, you know, it just requires a different mood. You're determined. It's too difficult to do it any other way. And then release and then tighten the muscle the other side. Release, tighten. Release and tighten. And again, just feel the mood that's associated with tightening a muscle, which is everything tightens. It's not just the muscle, it's your mind, your spirit. And then when you relax, everything opens out and just becomes sort of big and vaporous. And then here you tighten in. And then you just relax it out. So pulling one side. Release. And then pulling the other. Release. Pull. Release. And pull. Just try and keep the hips still. Let's try it sitting down. Yeah. Yeah, so just feel your body strong. Your sitting bones are really almost embedded into the seat of the chair. You feel the legs of the chair as you would feel your own legs if you were standing. And now just turning, but turning by tightening this muscle. So you're not thinking really in terms of turning the shoulders, you're thinking more in terms of pulling the elbow, like something around here is attached to your elbow and it just pulls your elbow back. And then you just release that and it pops back again because it's like a strong spring. And then you just tighten the other side. And then that just pops back. So one. So the movement's quite small, but it's got power. When you see someone doing it well, you know, it looks very different than when they're being, you know, too much movement. And just feel as you tighten that muscle at the back, the front has to get tight as well. Otherwise you'll hurt yourself. So pull. Yeah, so you can't do too much of this. So the muscles do actually get tired, yeah, especially the next day. Okay, now let's try just doing it a bit more quickly, sort of more rhythmical. But we're doing two, so it's like 1, 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 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 then back to the front. Okay, have you got a broom handle or a stick? Yeah. Yeah, so what we're going to do is basically like when you're in a canoe and you're paddling along. So you've got this, like one of those oars that's got a paddle on either end, you know, and you're doing this. So let's just try that. So just turning and imagine the paddle here. So you've got to get the paddle in the water first. Yeah, paddle in the water, and then you pull using that muscle at the back, and then here and pull. So it's a beautiful action, but you're just really trying to make sure it's coming from your lower back. So you don't want to go too quick, otherwise you'll just get a bit careless. And I guess it would be a lot better if you had a real paddle. But in the absence, it's a bit like bend bow to shoot tiger, you know? So just imagine the resistance of the water. You'd have to pull quite hard. Yeah, so you're pulling backwards in order to get the boat to go forwards. And again, just don't let the head look in the direction that the boat would be going. The head's just moving side to side with the action of the shoulders and the arms. And it's like the figure of 8, really. It's like a big figure of 8 that you're making. So it just becomes a meditation, sort of settling into your dantian and really settling into those muscles in the lower back. Yeah, so for me, it's like, you know, the one on the right-hand side is just a little bit reluctant to kick in. And I think it's because, you know, because I'm right-handed, and so I tend to want to have more control of this hand, so it's my head controlling it, and really would like it all to come from the midriff, from your lower back and your belly. This is why the side of the body that a person uses is generally the most tense. Yeah, just work the pole, work the stick as well. Like your two hands are trying to pull the stick apart, like they're trying to really stretch the stick in the middle or squash it. You know, so you're really working this stick. And I guess the real thing would be a lot better. Something I've never done. Most things I've never done. Yes, so as you work one side, the other side is naturally stretched. Yeah, so this is what's so healthy about something like this, or like walking. This is basically just walking, but with my arms. So as I tighten one side, the other side is stretched by that tightening. The more I can pull here, the more this is really stretched over. Okay. And then just back. Okay, so let's. Yeah, and just feel the body, just feel how, you know, how healthy that sort of twisty, turny action actually is. A hell of a lot more healthy than turning the hips, yeah. Again, just feel the train of muscle and just bring a little bit of tone to it, a little bit of tension, healthy tension. It's like a guitar string, you know, the tighter you tighten the string, the higher the note, the higher the frequency. So it's a bit like that with the body. The more tension you can bring into it, the higher the frequency of the energy that you can let go, the quicker, if you like. But then, of course, you know, if you've ever played the guitar, there's always that point where the string snaps because it can't endure the tension. So we want to be able to get really tight and then just get really loose when we don't need it anymore, so that we can rest, so that the body can recover from the labors you've put it through. Remember when Max was little? Liv, you know, his mother had this black cat called Ziggy. And it was dying of cancer. We spent a fortune taking it to this vet who had all the sort of amazing things in the lab, and he couldn't diagnose the cat. You know, he kept it in for a week to observe it. It cost us like nearly £1,000. And then Charles came round, and Charles just sort of touched this cat. He says, "Oh, cancer of the pancreas, it'll be dead within the week." And it was dead within the week, yeah. But he was lying down on the sofa, curled up, looking on death's door. And Liv had these 2 zebra finches in this cage, and she decided to clean the cage. And one of the zebra finches flew out, and this cat, from lying down, just suddenly just leapt up into the air, grabbed the bird, came back down again, and the bird was dead. So that spirit, the ability to just seemingly explode out of nothing, and a few days later he was dead. He used to catch squirrels, yeah. You know, you'd sort of smell this smell of death, and then pull the sofa back, and there'd be a dead squirrel behind the sofa. I quite like the smell of death. It's the sweet smell of death. If you can endure that, you can endure anything. So just feel the ground, just sucking it all out of you. You know, we just want to become empty. So then we can fill up with something that's just a damn sight more interesting than ourselves. And this feeling that, you know, you're being pulled all the time, but it's like something's come out of the earth in order to pull you down, rather than just this impersonal force of gravity that we're all embedded within. The earth loves you more than those around you. You're special. You're on some level enlightened. Okay, so let's just bring it back to attention. Just feel that tendency to slacken when you know you're getting to the end, yeah? So now just let it all tighten up again. You want that like a nag in the back of the mind that there's no let up. There's no holiday. There's no respite. So even when you're relaxing and enjoying yourself, you feel the call of tomorrow's practice. That's why dailiness is so important. Otherwise, you're just a dilettante. In that dailiness book, you know, he's got this lovely little ditty, yeah. I felt like shit, so I started to meditate, and then I felt better, so I stopped. So we just want to continue. And to come back to that sort of tight, ruthless core, you know, your mind here, but also just bring a little bit of tightness into those muscles in the lower back. Yeah. Just feel them. They don't need to get tense. Just something in you just. Okay.